In 6D, we need to factor first, and then set each factor equal to 0, then solve for x, and then verify each solution. So we need two numbers whose sum, so S for sum, is -1, and whose product, P for product, is 6 times -2, which is -12. Well, immediately we know that the two numbers are -4 and 3, because -4 times 3 is equal to -12, and -4 plus 3 is equal to -1. So we have to decompose the middle term, and we get plus 3x minus 4x minus 2 equal to 0. Now we need to factor in groups, factor these two and these two. So from the first two, we can factor out 3x. We're left with 3 goes into 6 two times, and we factored in x from an x squared, so we're left with 2. And then 3x goes into 3x one time, so that's plus 1. Here, factor out a -2, and we're left with -2 goes into -4 two times. Then we have the x, and then -2 goes into -2 one time, so that's plus 1. They're the same, so we can factor out a 2x plus 1. And we're left with 3x minus 2. And the only way this equation can equal to 0 is when this 2x plus 1 equals to 0, or when 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Now all we need to do is solve for x for both equations. Subtract both sides by 1, and we get 2x equals to -1. And then divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals to -1 over 2. Here, add both sides by 2, and we get 3x equals to 2. And divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals to 2 over 3. Which means that therefore the solutions to this equation is x equals to -1 over 2, or when x equals to 2 over 3. And now we need to verify that this is the solution to this equation. So here we do the verification. So now when we plug in x equals -1 over 2, and when we plug in x equals 2 over 3 into this equation for the x variables, we need to get 0. If we don't, that means this is not the solution and we did something wrong here. So let's try that out. When we substitute -1 over 2 into all the x variables, we get this, -1 over 2 squared minus -1 over 2 minus 2. Now, what is -1 over 2 all to the power of 2? That equals positive 1 over 4. Here, minus times -1 over 2 is plus 1 over 2, and then we have that subtract 2. Here, we can reduce 6 and 4, leaving out a 2 and a 3. And 3 times 1 over 2 is 3 over 2. Then we add 1 over 2, and then we subtract 2. Here, we have a common denominator, so we can add them, directly, and 3 plus 1 is 4, and subtract 2. And 4 over 2 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is obviously 0. So we just verify that this is a solution. Now we have to do the same for the 2 over 3. We plug it in for all the x variables. And we get, 2 over 3 squared is 4 over 9. Then minus 2 over 3 minus 2. Here we reduce 6 and the 9, leaving out a 2 and a 3. And 2 times 4 is 8. And that's over 3. Then minus 2 over 3 minus 2. It's the common denominator, so we can add them directly. 8 minus 2 is 6. So 6 over 3 minus 2. And 6 over 3 is the same thing as 2. So that pretty much we get 2 minus 2. And 2 minus 2 is obviously 0. So we just verified that this is also a solution to this equation.